Ladies, let me tell you something. When a man does you wrong, the best thing you can do, confuse him. And I ain't talking about sending mixed signals or playing mind games. No, no, no. I'm talking about moving in a way that he never saw coming. Men are used to women reacting emotionally when they mess up. They expect tears, yelling, long texts, or even a dramatic social media post. That's what they're prepared for. But what they are not ready for is a woman who doesn't react the way they expected. A woman who moves with grace, silence, and self-control. Now that will throw a man off his game. See, when a man hurts you, the first instinct is to respond with emotion. And listen, I get it. It's natural. You're upset. You feel betrayed. You want him to understand just how much he hurt you. But let me tell you something. Giving a man that reaction, that's giving him power. That's showing him that he still has control over your emotions. And the moment a man realizes that he can push your buttons and get a reaction out of you, he knows he still has you in the palm of his hand. That's why the real way to confuse him is to respond, not react. And it's a difference. Reacting is instant, it's emotional, it's unfiltered. Responding, that's control, that's intentional, that's powerful. Instead of arguing, you move with silence. Instead of texting him a paragraph about how much he hurt you, you let your absence speak for itself. Instead of proving your worth, you remember your worth and carry yourself like a woman who refuses to be disrespected. And let me tell you something about men. They are not built to handle that kind of energy. A man can deal with yelling, he can deal with arguments, he can deal with tears, because that means you still care enough to fight for him. But what shakes a man to his core is a woman who removes herself from the nonsense and carries on with dignity. That woman is unpredictable. That woman is a mystery. That woman is powerful. Imagine he calls or texts you after hurting you, expecting a back and forth argument, and instead you hit him with a calm, "I appreciate the clarity you've given me. Take care." And then you move on. No chasing, no questioning, no begging for an explanation. You let him sit with that. You let him wonder how you could just walk away so easily. You let him overthink while you focus on you. Because here's the thing, men learn through experience, not explanation. You don't have to tell him what he did wrong 100 times. You don't have to make him see your worth by proving anything to him. The second he realizes that you're not reacting, that you're not playing his game, that you're elevating instead of engaging, that's when it hits him. That's when he starts thinking, did I just lose something great? And trust me, that's a much stronger lesson than any argument could ever be. The moment a man expects you to crumble after he's hurt you, he's already convinced himself that you needed him more than he needed you. He assumes that his absence will shake your world, that you'll fall apart, that you'll sit around waiting for him to come back. But what he doesn't expect is for you to rise higher, to become an even better version of yourself without him. That's why the best thing you can do is focus on your glow up instead of getting caught up in the pain he caused. See, men operate on ego. They believe they're the center of your world. And when they walk away or do you wrong, they expect to see evidence that their absence has left a hole in your life. That's why they stalk your social media, ask mutual friends how you're doing, or suddenly pop back up with a "just checking in" text. They're looking for signs that you miss them, that you still hurt, that you still waiting. But when a man checks up on you and sees that you're thriving instead of suffering, oh, that confuses them like nothing else. This is why you don't waste time trying to make a man regret losing you. You just make sure that when he looks in your direction, he sees a woman who is leveled up. Work on yourself. Hit the gym. Not because you need revenge, but because you love yourself enough to take care of your body. Chase your dreams with even more passion, not to make him jealous, but because your future deserves that energy. Upgrade your style, refine your confidence, and surround yourself with people who make you feel valuable. Because when you invest in yourself, when you pour into your own growth, you naturally become the type of woman who commands respect without even saying a word. And here's what happens when you glow up. Suddenly, he starts remembering why he was drawn to you in the first place. He starts realizing that he took something special for granted. And it's not just about the physical transformation, it's about the energy you carry. A woman who knows her worth walks differently. She talks differently. She doesn't beg for love, she attracts it effortlessly. And when he sees that, when he sees that you have completely detached from the idea that he was necessary for your happiness, he won't know what to do with himself. This is why the glow up is so powerful. It's not about him, it's about you. It's about choosing to elevate rather than sink into pain. It's about proving to yourself, not to him, that you are more than enough on your own. Because the truth is, nothing is more attractive than a woman who is unbothered, unapologetic, and unstoppable in her pursuit of a better life. And when a man realizes that he was never the source of your happiness in the first place, that's when he truly understands what he lost. Men expect drama. They expect anger. They expect a reaction that lets them know they still have a grip on your emotions. That's why when a man does you wrong, the most powerful move you can make is to choose peace, not out of weakness, not because you're avoiding confrontation, but because peace is the one thing he isn't prepared to handle. When you stay calm in the face of disrespect, when you refuse to give in to the chaos he tried to bring into your life, it does something to a man's mind. It forces him to question himself. See, men don't sit and reflect when you're yelling at them. They don't suddenly realize they messed up while you sit in long paragraphs explaining how they hurt you. But when you step back, when you detach, when you stop engaging altogether, that silence forces him to deal with himself. He has no choice but to sit with the weight of his own actions. A man will always remember the woman who walked away with dignity. Not the one who begged, not the one who argued, not the one who tried to force him to see her worth, but the one who simply removed herself and let her absence speak for itself. That's because peace is unsettling to a man who thrives on control. When he can no longer pull you into his drama, when he sees that you're not chasing him for closure, he starts to lose his sense of power. And nothing confuses a man more than realizing that he no longer has access to the emotions he once played with. When you choose peace, you shift the dynamic. Instead of being reactive, you become intentional. Instead of proving your worth to him, you remember your worth for yourself. And when you do that, something powerful happens. You free yourself. You stop carrying the burden of trying to change a man who was never willing to change. You stop giving energy to someone who took you for granted. You redirect that energy back into yourself, into your healing, into your own happiness. And here's the thing, when a man sees that you found peace without him, it makes him question everything. He starts to wonder why you're not angry, why you're not fighting, why you're not trying to get his attention. And that's when it hits him. You've moved on. You've found something greater than his validation. You found yourself. Choosing peace doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you weren't hurt. It means you respect yourself enough to not let someone else's actions steal your joy. It means you trust that what's meant for you will never require you to beg, chase, or compromise your dignity. And when you master that, you become untouchable. Because a peaceful woman is a woman who no longer allows anyone to disrupt the love she has for herself. When a man does you wrong, the natural instinct is to prove a point, to show him what he lost, to make sure he realizes the mistake he made. But the truth is, you don't have to do anything to prove your worth to someone who took it for granted in the first place. The real power move is to walk away like you were never fazed and let your life speak for itself. Because here's what most people don't understand. Distance is the loudest message you can ever send. See, when a man thinks he's still got a hold on you, he expects to see signs that you're struggling without him. He looks for them. He wonders if you're still talking about him, if you're stalking his page, if you're asking mutual friends about him. And the second he picks up on that energy, he knows he still has a place in your heart. But when he gets nothing, no anger, no begging, no desperate attempts to keep him in your life, it shakes him, because that's when he realizes he's lost all access to you. And that's a feeling no man is ever prepared for. And this is why walking away without making a scene is the greatest way to confuse a man who hurt you. Because while he's expecting you to fall apart, you're over there putting yourself back together. While he's waiting for you to reach out, you're too busy leveling up to even think about him. And by the time he realizes what he had, you are already so far ahead in life that you don't even care whether he regrets it or not. This is why silence is powerful. It forces reflection. It forces realization. It forces a man to come to terms with what he lost without you ever having to say a word. And when he finally starts to understand the impact of his actions, when he realizes that he let go of something rare, something valuable, something he may never find again, that's when it truly hits him. Not because you told him, not because you tried to show him, but because you removed yourself completely and let reality do the talking. No explanation, no second chances, no back and forth. Just a woman who knows her worth and refuses to entertain anything that doesn't align with it. And when you move like that, there's nothing more powerful, nothing more confusing, and nothing more unforgettable. Men always think they have time to play games, time to take you for granted, time to come back when they feel like it. They assume that no matter what they do, you'll always be there waiting, hoping, holding on to the idea that one day they'll finally get it together. But what they don't realize is that a smart woman, a woman who knows her worth, is not waiting on anyone to decide when she deserves to be treated right. She's not giving unlimited chances. She's not sitting around hoping that one day he'll wake up and finally see her value. She's already moved forward before he even realizes what he lost. That's what truly shakes a man. The moment he understands that you were not an option, you were the opportunity. And instead of begging him to treat you right, instead of trying to prove that you were worth his love, you took your power back. See, a man expects to come and go as he pleases. He assumes that even if he hurts you, he can always come back, because in his mind, he's convinced himself that you'll always have a soft spot for him. And most of the time, that's exactly what happens. Until a woman finally decides that she's done playing that game, that's when the dynamic shifts. That's when the panic sets in. Because a man who thinks he has time will always take you for granted. But a man who realizes he's out of time, that's when regret hits. That's when he starts thinking about all the things he should have done differently. That's when he starts seeing you in a way he should have seen you from the beginning. But by then, it's too late. By then, you're no longer the woman who would have taken him back. You're no longer the woman who sits by the phone hoping he'll change his mind. You're the woman who has grown past him, who has healed, who has elevated to a level he can no longer reach. This is why men always come back when you finally move on. Not when you cry, not when you argue, not when you try to make them see their mistake, but when you genuinely no longer care. When your energy is no longer attached to them. When you become so focused on yourself, your happiness, your future, that their absence no longer affects you. That's when it hits them that they miscalculated. But by the time he realizes that he lost a good woman, you've already become a great one. And that's the thing about time. You don't waste it on people who don't see your worth. You don't give it to someone who doesn't value you. Because the moment you take your time, your energy, and your love away from the wrong person, you create space for the right one to find you. And that's when you truly win. One of the biggest mistakes people make after getting hurt is thinking that revenge will bring them closure. That if they make the other person feel the same pain, if they show them what they lost, if they somehow make them regret it, they'll finally feel satisfied. But the truth is, revenge doesn't heal you. It just keeps you connected to the very person who broke you. And the longer you stay tied to that energy, the longer you delay your own peace. See, when someone does you wrong, your first instinct might be to get back at them, to show them that they didn't break you. Maybe you think about posting something on social media to make them jealous, flirting with someone new just to prove a point, or even trying to make them feel the same kind of pain they made you feel. But in reality, all of that just shows that they still have power over you. Because if you truly didn't care, if you had really moved on, you wouldn't be worried about getting even. You'd be too busy living your life. The real flex is peace, not because you're weak, not because you're letting them get away with what they did, but because you understand that your energy is too valuable to waste on someone who didn't appreciate it in the first place. When you choose peace, you take back control. You decide that you will not let what someone else did dictate your happiness. You make a choice to put yourself first, to protect your mental and emotional well-being, to walk away without carrying resentment. And let me tell you something, that is what truly confuses a person who thought they had the power to hurt you. Because people expect a reaction. They expect anger, bitterness, pettiness. That's what they're ready for. But when you don't give them that, when you don't engage, when you don't let their actions shift your focus, they start questioning everything. They start wondering why you're so unbothered. Why you not trying to prove a point? Why you not caught up in the same mess they tried to pull you into? And that's when they realize that they never had as much control over you as they thought. Choosing peace isn't about ignoring your feelings or pretending you weren't hurt. It's about deciding that your healing is more important than holding on to negativity. It's about understanding that what's meant for you will never require you to lose yourself. It's about making room for better things in your life by letting go of people who don't deserve a place in it. Because at the end of the day, true power isn't in revenge. It's in knowing that you walked away from something that no longer served you and never looked back. And when you move like that, when you carry yourself with grace instead of anger, you don't just heal, you elevate. And that's a level most people will never be able to reach.